So, Alyse, welcome.
Hi, good morning, Michael. How are you?
Going very well indeed. I'm just going to change that. So I'll remove that, and there you are. Fantastic.
Hello.
Alyse, you've had an amazing journey in terms of your real estate business, and in that process, what is it, an 11-month-old and a
That's right. I've got an 11-month-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. So life is pretty busy for us.
yeah. Yeah. And could we just talk a little bit about the marketplace, the Mudgee marketplace, and also where you're at in your real estate journey along those lines?
Yeah, sure, Michael. So I started and was lucky enough to start with the property shop almost 10 years ago now. I have always had been a standalone agent, sales agent in our marketplace, but we've probably got around 10,000 people in the Mudgee community, and then it's around 30,000 in the wider community. So the little towns that surround Mudgee. It is a beautiful part of the world, and a lot of people are obviously seeing that we are living in magical Mudgee and trying to buy a piece of our marketplace. Our average sale price has jumped significantly after COVID, where we're up to around that 700,000 currently. Our days on market are a little bit longer at the moment. We're stretching out to, on average, in the greater marketplace, around that 50, 60 days. But at the property shop, we're down to 40. So it's up from 7 days during that COVID period. So it certainly has stretched out a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's when everyone left the city and went and said, Mudgee seems a great place to be. So let's talk about, you from a capitalising on this market. What are some of the things that you're doing right now? By the way, some of you might want to connect with Alyse after this and go like, wow, this really resonates. That's great. So this is a window into Alyse's business, not everything you do, but some of the key things that really create some highlights.
Yeah, that's right. So we look after both residential and large to small hobby farms as well in our region. So what we've been doing is quite broad, if that makes sense. But I guess it all comes back down to communication, Michael. So what I've been doing and leading into our spring launch at the moment, obviously it's that age of what you put into something is what you're going to get back out of it. So we've been focusing a lot with our communication. So that's also leveraging. So we've been leveraging a lot at the moment from, even our competition's listing. So if they list a property in a street, we're still calling that street, letting the owners in that neighbourhood know that there has been a property listed on the market. But what we've been getting some really good traction from is when we call them back after we've told them that it's been listed, and people might be slowing down and, walking around out the front of their place, and don't be too worried about that. And when we do call them back and let them know that it has sold for a certain amount of dollars, and hopefully they'll have a nice new neighbour, they are so gobsmacked that it's not the agent who actually listed the property calling them about that. So it's being present. It's having those conversations. It's having those meaningful conversations as well. So not everybody appreciates a text message. I get some people do like text or email, but it's all about that, meaningful contact and actually picking up the phone and understanding people and what they're up to, where they're at in their life, and what their whys are, what their priorities are, and to know that a property sold in my street and the agent who actually sold it is not calling me about my neighbour. It's a bit bizarre. So it's all about that.
It is interesting. It's a blinding flash of the obvious to, if I'm a neighbour in the area, I'm interested in what's happening from a property point of view. And, our RAS, our reticular activating system that we've got, that turns the sleep down, turns the sound down when we're sleeping, that manages the level of lubrication on our eyeball. So it's very useful. We've got one. We've fitted standard at birth. When a property comes on the market in a street, anyone who owns property in that street is more interested in that. So to lean into this, and in the US now, that's called circle prospecting, where basically this listing, let's circle around this. And clearly you're doing this on your own as well, to capitalize on, but you're adding your competitors because they're not doing it. So let's actually provide the service that clients are looking for. And what sort of results are you getting from that?
Yeah, look, we're finding that once we call them back after we've had that initial warm call, is what I call it, telling them that there has been their neighbour listed in the same street, and then we call them back in a couple of weeks' time, telling them it's sold for X amount of dollars, and offering them, perhaps they'd like to know what their property could be worth. We're getting some fairly good traction. Probably 2 out of every 10 that we're calling is actually saying, let's chat, let's have a bit of a market health check, an appraisal, and we're getting feet indoors essentially, and that's what it's all about. Connecting with people.
Yeah, fantastic. And and I think everyone knows online, I don't like the word appraisal, but you do have an appraisal strategy that would be great for us to talk about. And by the way, I think appraisal is real estate language, not client language. They like an updated opinion where the property sits in the market, a sense of where if they were to sell, where their property would potentially land from a sale price point of view. Could we talk a little bit about what you're doing from that point of view?
Sure, Michael. So our property health checks, once we're through the door, and mind you, there's a lot that goes on before we're actually in the door. There's 3 to 5 touch points before we're actually sitting in the coffee room. So when we're actually there, it's all about that value adding. So it's not just there to talk about the market. That's what you're there for, obviously, but it's what else you're actually going to, stand out from the competition. If you're agent number 3 or 4, and they don't know you, but you've got, all these touch points, 3 to 5 touch points prior to actually landing in their door. And then when you're there, you're still proving that you're adding value to them. And that it's all circles back to the communication essentially anyway. But we're talking to them about, local tradespeople that could help them, with finishing off their house renovations or their paint job before they put it on the market. We're chatting to them, it's not all about the market stats. It's all about, what their next step is, and actually knowing, a bit more about their motivation. And a lot of the time, 90% of the time, the conversation is never about their property. It's always about their next step and how we can help them get there. So it's just that adding value. Remember, people buy energy. So, make sure your energy's on point. You're not walking into a listing appointment or a property health check, with bad energy and not wanting to be there. Absolutely be mindful, be present, It's always good to turn up and actually be there for them, and have your undivided attention. Don't take the phone call, let the phone ring, just be there for them.
Yeah. So it's that mode of the reason they call the present. It's the gift you give someone and yourself right now. So it's being in that particular mode. Can we just go back to, you talk about the value add in there. So it's constantly thinking about, how do I add value to this relationship? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that we're going to win every single piece of business, but it puts you in a better position to win it. Can we just go back prior to the touch points you're typically doing before you're walking in the door? Can we talk about those?
Yeah, sure. So before we have a phone call, to have a property health check, we make that appointment. We typically send through a confirmation email, but in that confirmation email is actually pretty much a CMA. Essentially, of what's happening around their street and their neighbourhood, what's been selling, and we give them a little bit of their own homework, so to speak, so they can read up and feel that they're across the market to a degree. Yes. The other thing that we've been doing is a text message the day before we're going through, and then a phone call on the morning, typically, depending on the client, and their profession. Sometimes we're just, sending them a third text message to say, look, really excited to see you, Michael. We'll be around at 10:30. Let us know if there's anything you'd like us to bring, maybe a coffee, we'll chat soon. So there's about 3 to 5 touch points before we're actually in their door. So it feels like, we've got some sort of rapport and some sort of relationship before we're actually walking in. I could walk in with a flat white.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, how does that go when you send the text and say, hey, would you like me to grab a coffee, or what coffee do you like?
Yeah, look, and sometimes our our market health checks, they're literally 30 minutes away. So by the time the coffee gets there, it's a bit lukewarm. But look, they really appreciate the gesture, and a lot of the time, it's like, no, it's fine. We'll give you a coffee when you get here. But look, more to the point, it's just adding that friendly warmth, to the conversation. We're not scary people. People don't sell or buy houses every single day. It is daunting. And especially in our marketplace, there's a lot of mums and dads who will own their property, and most likely won't sell it, or maybe have 1 or 2 sales in their whole lifetime. So it's not an everyday turnover transaction for a lot of people. It is quite scary. And if we can take that, we do this every day, and if we can take that, angst out of their thoughts and their minds, that's what we're here to do. As I said before, it's just, giving that energy and bringing the right energy to every conversation and that value. And I feel that, with the value that we give, we're asking for fees that are over 3%, and we're writing over 3% fees typically.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great. So this is where some of the metro agents can learn a lot in terms of the fee strategies that you're applying. I love the fact that you're stacking the value prior to, so the clients are looking forward to meeting with you, and then there you're looking for how do we actually add value in the meeting. I know you're also a big believer in 1%ers. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. So a lot of agents, they feel that real estate's all about, the fast cars, the all the fancy lifestyle. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting back to basics. So we're big fans of, doing the right things, but doing those 1%ers right. So things like, anniversary calls, every year we call out, and sometimes I've got clients up to 10 years that have been in the same house, but we're still calling them, either yearly reminder and just saying, look, you've been here for 10 years now. How's the pool? Did you put the pool in the end? And it's just actually adding value and having those conversations. We do, obviously, after settlement, a 1 month check-in call to make sure everything's going smoothly, of course. We also call them, spur of the moment if we've got obviously a listing in their street, or obviously, the sale close by. Obviously, there's always these touch points, always that communication. And as I said earlier, it's just making sure we're connecting and making sure we're, not just texting all the time, because that can lose meaning. And you don't actually genuinely know what somebody's feeling or thinking if you're not, picking up that phone. And I know, and it is my generation as well, a lot of people like to text and like to email and don't really like that human contact, but it is so valuable. And when people are genuinely wanting to make, a big decision in a property purchase or a sale, they want to speak to a human.
Absolutely. What I love about this is, to me, it's getting the right combination of high tech and high touch. So, tech-enabled agent now is a really smart agent, but a tech replacement isn't a smart move, particularly when you start to grade your clients into platinums, golds, and silvers. Well, let's make sure I'm putting some serious energy and effort into those key relationships that are super pro you, and so on. Alyse, I love your energy, by the way. Your energy is super infectious. I can imagine you coming out and you just, if there's a barrier there, we're not going to tell the agent this, we're not going to tell the agent this. You arrive, it's like, oh, okay, we're going to tell you everything, and just have really open and honest conversations with them.
That's right, Michael. And look, currently I'm holding, almost 50 listings at a time, in our marketplace that's a lot to hold all the time. So just that communication with your clients, my vendors, are like friends now, because you're talking to them every day or every couple of days, and you're working with them with getting them to meet the market as well a lot of the time, especially in our marketplace at the moment with the change of interest rates rising and bits and pieces. So it's all about, as I said, that communication, keep it positive, keep it relatable, and it's always being consistent.
And what I love there, Alyse, is the market is the market, and we will look at the property clock a little bit later in today's session. But I think one of the great things is that you're talking from the point of view, the market's a market, and right now here's what we need to do, and to be able to not shy away from alignment conversations, but to have those conversations around moving forward. I think one of my favourite sort of pieces of dialogue at the moment, your property is helping other properties sell, and that's not the plan. So let's have a look at what we need to do to put your property in the position to be the one that is securing those particular buyers that are in the marketplace right now.
That's right.
Fantastic. Team, can we do a virtual round of applause for the one, the only Alyse Pilley? And Alyse, you've got a big celebration happening this month as well. Can we just let everyone know about the celebration?
Yes, we do. We're turning 50, not me personally, but the property shop is so proud to be turning 50 years in business, being the one name, the one brand within our community. We're really, really excited. So the 25th of this month, we're turning 50 years old. In fact, we've just opened a new office in a close by town as well today, our grand opening there. So I'll be shooting up shortly to join. But we're very excited. We've got a lot of growth and a lot of vision at the moment in our region.
That's great. Alyse, at some point in time, would you be okay if we did a listing appointment, so a listing role play?
Yeah, sure.
Because I think that would be fantastic to just see your energy sort of unfold, and some of those 1%ers you're talking about, and how you actually add value in that process. Hey, we wish you well for an incredible spring marketplace. I'm coming down to the 50th party, so I'm seriously looking forward to being there, and we'll share some photos with the rest of the network around it. And Ben's there saying congratulations on your happy 50th. That's not Alyse's 50th, that is the property shop's 50th, just so we know we're on the same page. Okay, round of applause. Hey.
Thanks,
Alyse.